Hello and welcome to Father James F. Keegan S.J. Field here on the campus of St. Peter's Prep for today's high school lacrosse matchup between the Montclair Kimberly Academy Cougars and the home team, the St. Peter's Prep Marauders. We are here in Jersey City, New Jersey, as these two teams match up in what should be an outstanding afternoon, late afternoon, evening of lacrosse. Montclair Kimberly comes into this game at 3-2. St. Peter's is 1-4. The Marauders attempting to break a 4-game losing streak, as well as a 3-game losing streak to Montclair Kimberly coming into today's matchup. Montclair's 3-game streak includes a 7-6 victory over St. Peter's last season. I am Mark and Sarah, alongside Joe Vasile. Thank you for tuning in to NJ.ORG Varsity for today's game. As both teams are taking the field, I'll give you the starting lineups for St. Peter's and for Montclair Kimberly. The goalie for St. Peter's is Robert Carlino, number 30. On defense for the Marauders, number 25, Ken Carroll. Number 27, Sean Connors. The midfielders for St. Peter's include number 22, Eric Nieves, who will be taking the face-off, and number 1, Will DeMartin. The attackers for the Marauders, number 9, Connor Kirkwood, number 6, Christian Hennegren, their top scorer, and number 10, Tanner Barberi.
Looks like taking the face-off for Montclair Kimberly will be Max Hall. He's a sophomore midfielder for them.
Hall fighting right off the bat with Nieves. And St. Peter's Prep controls. The Marauders bring it up. Hennegren with it now. Are going to cross a shot by Barberi, but a nice save there for Montclair Kimberly.
And Montclair Kimberly's goalie in this game is Rob Strain. He's a sophomore, but he is very talented, getting a lot of looks from some D1 schools already.
Absolutely, Joe. His youth has not hurt him at all in net for the Cougars. Back to the top spot, Brendan Popovich with it now, gives it up to Grant Hipple. Hipple moving around, closely guarded by Max Hall. And now St. Peter's working around, trying to find that open lane. DeMartin with it, moving in, but good defense again by Montclair Kimberly. Now towards the front of the net and in. Christian Hennegren puts St. Peter's Prep on the board, and it's 1-0, less than a minute into the first quarter here.
For Hennegren, his 18th goal of the season. That leads the Marauders in that category also, now 23 points for him, and so he continues an outstanding season. One of the real bigger, if not the biggest, scoring threat on this Marauders team.
Absolutely, and St. Peter's knew exactly what they wanted to do. They got it to their main scorer to start the game and got on the board first. Once again, Max Hall will be taking the face-off against Nieves of St. Peter's. Nieves, one of the main face-off men, probably the main face-off man for St. Peter's. Good job by Nieves, but it's eventually picked up by Montclair Kimberly. Eric Zug bringing it up. A long stick midi. Nice checking there by Will DeMartin. And we got a whistle for a push, and that will give possession to St. Peter's. And that is DeMartin. DeMartin Looked like he hit. He does have it. Now the whistle blows and play starts to Martin, guarded by Ryan Fennelly as he brings it in. Grant Hipple now. Hipple to Hennegren. Guarded by Chris Sibilia. Behind the net to Kirkwood. Barbary fires one, but it misses the net. St. Peter's, though, will maintain possession as Hennegren will bring it in. And St. Peter's certainly controlling the action early here, trying to make it 2-0 as we go down towards the 2-minute mark in the first half. Excuse me, in the first quarter. DeMartin thought about a shot, but good defense there by Eric Zug made him think otherwise. Pass for DeMartin missed, and now the ball free, but St. Peter's will pick it up. Brendan Popovich settles things down again for the Marauders. Barbary heading to Washington College after the season to play collegiate lacrosse. Guarded here by Ethan Fusco. Falls down but gives it up. Shot, score! Grant Hipple with the goal. And just like that, Joe, it's 2-0 St. Peter's already. Hipple's third goal of the season.
And this is exactly what St. Peter's needed. They had a game on Saturday at Morristown, and they got dominated a little bit early out of the gate in that one. Exactly what the Marauders needed to do was get off to a fast start in this one, and already up 2-0, not even 3 minutes into this game.
St. Peter's off and running right now. Another face-off. Good fight put up by both face-off men. Bouncing around, eventually picked up, though, by Nieves. Now free again, and that's Max Hall's ball. But St. Peter's knocks it free. Oh, he loses the ball. Yanes with it. Bringing it in, being checked, loses his stick. Good checking for St. Peter's. But we get a whistle. And St. Peter's will win possession.
A little argument here going, and it is going to be Montclair Kimberly ball. It was a St. Peter's player that had picked it up, but Montclair Kimberly's coaches were shouting, and correctly so, that it should have been their ball.
Oh, absolutely. You're going to do everything you can to make sure that that call is made correct. It looked like Montclair Kimberly was going to receive the ball initially, but then St. Peter's picked it up, and I thought I might have misread the call. So the Cougars now on the attack. Joe Strain, and now back to the top spot to Tommy Fusco. Fusco bringing it in, guarded by Nieves. Montclair Kimberly trying to find an open lane. Fennelly with it at the top. Guarded closely, fires one, a great save though by Robert Carlino. Now St. Peter's with it, both teams fighting for possession. Let's see which way that referee rules. He gives it to St. Peter's. The Marauders picking it up. Whistle blows and they will head the other way. Carlino, the goalie, now ends up with it. Passes it up, a dangerous pass that's off target, being knocked around in Montclair Kimberly territory. The ball still loose, and eventually we get a whistle blown for a push, and the possession will go to Montclair Kimberly.
You know, that was a dangerous pass that time by Carlino. Another thing that we saw out of him on Saturday was he had a bad outlet pass that ended up getting picked up by Morristown, which led directly to a goal. Luckily, that time for St. Peter's, no such luck.
Another nice save on the shot by Reed Cunningham by Carlino, and you're exactly right, Joe. Carlino just seemed to be too casual with that pass, which, as you mentioned, a very long, dangerous pass. And it almost resulted in a goal for the Cougars. Now bringing it in is Tommy McIntyre. Thought about a shot. Good check, though. Now goes down. A good check by Sibilia. And the ball is free as both teams fight for it. A full-fledged scrum. And eventually we have a whistle. And the referee calling it against St. Peter's, which means Montclair Kimberly ends up with the lacrosse ball. Rob Strain, their goalie, starting out with it here. Now brought up to Yanes. Yanes to Hall now, guarded by number 8, Alex Aiello. Yanes now with it again.
Pace here, worked by Montclair Kimberly. Almost in direct contrast to kind of the up-tempo speed that Prep likes to run.
You're exactly right. That's exactly what Montclair Kimberly wants to do. Slow this game down. And they desperately need a goal here, down by 2 already. 6:50 to go in the first half. In the first quarter, St. Peter's Prep with a 2-0 lead on Montclair Kimberly. Hall bringing it in, thought about it, now thinking about a shot again, but guarded closely and very well. Kimberly now, Yanes with it. Thought about moving it in, but good defense by Sean Connors made him think otherwise. Yanes still trying to find a room, rubbing around in front of the net, fires it, and in! Nice play there by Daniel Yanes as he got his defender Connors on his heels. Was able to make the move past him in front of the net and an easy bounce in from there, and it's 2-1.
Yeah, he doesn't take many shots, just 4 on the season, but well, that was his 5th shot that he's taken on goal of the season now, and he's got 4 goals. Just a very, very accurate shooter. Doesn't take a whole lot of shots, but when he does, they usually find a way to the back of the net.
And that was an example of that right there. Another face-off at midfield, both teams fighting for it. But ending up with it is St. Peter's as Grant Hippel brings it up. Thinking about a shot, a nice pass there to Hennegren. Hennegren moving in. Montclair Kimberly playing tight defense, though, forces him back out as he gives it up to Barbary.
I was talking to Paul Edwards, the head coach of Montclair Kimberly, earlier in the week, and he said that perhaps the greatest strength of this team is their defense, the way that they play. Or they've had the most amount of continuity, and that it's more the offense that they need to work on. And we're seeing that here today, having a couple of turnovers on the offensive end, but playing very tight defense for the most part against Brett.
Absolutely. And that's been an evidence. Nice shot there by Henninger, but it goes past the net and out of play. That their offense has been probably their main weakness. Their 2 losses, they've only scored 8 total goals, and they've scored double digits in all 3 of their wins,
including a 10-7 win over Cranford back on Saturday.
DeMartin with it now, trying to find an open lane. Good defense. Shot goes wide as he was defended well. And St. Peter's, though, will keep it. Barbary with it behind the net. Prep up 2-1 here. About midway through the first quarter. Pass behind the net. Hennegren being defended there very nicely by number 27, Ethan Fusco.
When out of bounds in the corner, kind of a tough angle from where the camera is. Can't really see it that well.
St. Peter's, though, ends up with it in the end. Another shot there by Hennegren, and this one goes wide again as they are just peppering the Montclair Kimberly net with shot after shot here.
Well, that's the way you got to do it. If you're St. Peter's, you just got to keep getting these shots off. Eventually, they'll start finding the bottom of the net. They've already had 2 go in so far, but you just keep shooting and eventually perhaps try and break this game open here early.
Here is DeMartin with it now, fighting with his defender. Now passes behind the net to Connor Kirkwood. Hennegren with it now. Sibilia playing tight defense. Hennegren bringing it in. Looks like he has a shot. Gets in front of his man. Fires it and hits the net. Another goal for Hennegren, his 2nd of the day, Joe. And St. Peter's Prep has their 2-goal lead back. It's 3-1 with 4:21 to go.
Yeah, and that's a big goal for St. Peter's there because, like you said, it gives them their 2-goal lead back. They're now up 3-1 in this one, and it looked like Montclair might try and make a little bit of a comeback there, but making a nice statement, holding the ball for quite a long time on offense, getting a lot of shots off, and eventually one finding the back of the net.
Face off this time won by Montclair Kimberly as Max Hall races up with the ball. Thought about moving in quickly, but decides to back it up and back it out. Gives it up to number 7, Tommy Fusco. Fusco, a senior from Essex Fells. Guarded here by number 23, TJ Small. And Montclair works it behind the net to Ryan Fennelly. Cunningham now. Hall gives it up back to Tommy Fusco. Fusco guarded this time by Eric Nieves. Thought of bringing it in, but good defense by St. Peter's. Now firing it in and just missing the net is Joe Strain. Montclair Kimberly, though, picks it up and will start over again. Fenley with it back behind the net. Trying to find an open space. Gives it up in front of the net. Shot. Great save on the shot by Cunningham. And Carlino having a good game in net already as St. Peter's starts on the attack again. Small bringing it up. Racing around with it before giving it up to Barbary. And in comes Alex Ayala, who now has possession. TJ Small now. Into the game now, Tommy McIntyre. St. Peter's keeps working it around. They already have a 3-1 lead. McIntyre now to Small. And now St. Peter's works it around. Small with it again. McIntyre. St. Peter's playing very patient, but that's what with little bits of fury in that attack. As you see there, a quick pass leads to the shot by Henningren that goes past the net and out. But St. Peter's back and quickly ready to start on the attack again. St. Peter's fires, but nice save there by Strain on the shot by Barbary. And now it's Montclair Kimberly's turn to start it out. Fusco, bring it up past midfield into the attacking zone. MKA trying to cut it to a 1-goal game. Fusco. Guarded by Devin Syracuse, and now gives it up to number 18, Ryan Fenley. The Cougars offense working slowly, as Joe mentioned, in quite contrast to the pace of St. Peter's offense. And Cougars trying to find a way in, but cannot. Good defense there on Joe Strain as he tried to find an open lane but could not. The Marauders would not allow him to get an open shot on the net. Hall now trying to find his way in, fires, it goes wide. Still 3-1 St. Peter's and about 91 seconds to go in the first quarter. Fusco with it now. Trying to move past his man, looking for an open lane. Nice pass to number 18, Fenley. But then the pass after that was mishandled by Yanes, goes out of bounds. Montclair Kimberly thought they were going to maintain possession, but it turns out no. St. Peter's gets the ball, and Syracuse brings it up. As that pass went off of Yanes instead of just a clean throw out of bounds or deflected by St. Peter's. So the Marauders, now it's their chance to go on offense. Another pass by